having said that, right, let's move on to what exactly do you guys do and how you do it.
So we have this SaaS platform built, which is completely cloud-based. Now we are also getting into like on-prem solution as well, especially for PSU banks. But then primarily it's a cloud-based infrastructure and solution which allows you to do collections without having the need to integrate with 10 different softwares and platforms. It allows you to onboard your entire collections team, right from maybe the national collections head to regional collections head and the agents executing these collection activities.
Okay.
All of them on our platform, and then you can define their roles, their hierarchy, their structure on our platform, and then do the allocation of those accounts in an automated fashion. So we have like a drag and drop feature to your logics of how you allocate accounts to different teams, and different set of dashboards and analytics to understand the performance of the collections at any point of time. This is all backed by a data science layer or data intelligence layer, which brings in the efficiency of the agents in terms of how many calls you're doing per day, which customers or borrowers to interact, which is the best channel for a customer to communicate with, because we understand the customers from the past data of communications. If he has been sent like 10 SMS, maybe 5 emails, 4 WhatsApp, we know what channel he's most interactive at, where does he kind of click the links, does he has kind of click the payment link and gone to a stage where he was making the payment, also hit the payment as well. So I think those are the data which are done, and try kind of reinforcing the same data in the next set of collection activities whenever that customer goes in that delinquent bucket again, or even like-to-like customers also the kind of approach which we take.
Understood. So this is like an entire back-end workflow for an NBFC or a bank. Basically, pura entire collection workflow is digitized and in one place. Everything from account allocation to make a checker to everything else on how to communicate with the customers, and you also provide data and rich insights on it. Have you also sorry, please go on.
There are solutions like performance management system. I mean, that's the thing which nobody would have thought in collections should be built as part of the platform, but we did that because trait of the collection teams, and they derive collections by kind of being a little more want to, if the customer has mentioned make the payment day after tomorrow, there should be a follow-up against that customer. There should be other set of activities which are linked to the previous set of activities. So build a performance management system where you can track like KPIs, then KRAs of even the agents, and drive your entire team's performance just on the basis of that. And even the incentives payout and could be calculated right on the platform itself. So it's a full integrated end-to-end collections solutions.
Understood. And when you're talking about collections as a collection mechanism as a service, or collections as a platform, right? So what essentially are the nuances that I would say differentiate a collection for a two-wheeler loan versus a four-wheeler versus a personal loan and so on? And how do you kind of account for that in these kind of workflows?
So our platform is kind of fully kind of driven by configurations. It's not that we have very customized solutions for a bank which is just doing two-wheeler, a lender which is just doing a personal loan. It's a singular platform which is having a lot of settings and a lot of configurations, where maybe if HDFC or any large bank is kind of doing many more type of loans, and maybe from unsecured to secured loans, and from maybe a personal loan to a home loan, you can be able to configure the platform accordingly, where things like in personal loan, there is no security, no mortgage, there is no possession, there is no kind of auctioning. All of that things doesn't come in that picture. It is all driven by a kind of a connection which established with the borrower and try connecting from that borrower. While on the other hand, from a home loan perspective, there are workflows of how you can possess a property, how you could kind of follow up a customer with respect to what notices needs to be sent to them if it has been an NPA customer. And then even in terms of auctioning that property, there are certain set of workflow stages which are kind of taken care of. So there are very different ways these kind of products behave, even at the time of lending, and even at when you're doing the collections. That would be completely different set of processes. Some would be common, which is initial set of collections strategies, but majority towards the end is kind of very different. And we have been able to kind of do that with like the multi-team platform, or the platform which is able to handle all sorts of product types, and never kind of built like customized solution for it.
Got it. So it's more like a configurable platform that you can configure as per the needs, but not completely customized. Understood.
Right.
All right. Something. A question that's kind of been like running in my mind for quite some time when I first heard you talking about enriching data and those pieces, right? So have you essentially dabbled in using AI or AI and ML as a part of this entire ecosystem, wherein you are also able to, I would say, automate the communications to an extent wherein agents are not required agents are not required at all. For example, completely incorporating, I would say, conversational AI into a platform in such a way that there are automated voice calls made with a backend of conversational AI bot that is doing the conversations.
Yes, we have. In fact, both of these use cases which you mentioned have failed. So generative AI was something which we started like 2 years back, where can the human calls be reduced by bringing some voice bots or voice calls driven by generative AI, and these are all trained on the calls done with the customers by these agents over a period of time. So obviously, for the first 2 years, when these dialer solutions which we provided to these lenders, there was a lot of data which got generated, and the conversations between the agent and the borrower. We use that as the training data build a voice bot solution. And that allows you to communicate with the borrowers, where borrowers would be asked questions, and based on his reactions and responses, it would change the questions to the next set of workflow questions, and then take the input of that. Even set up the calls. Maybe if a customer saying, "Hey, I want to make a payment 3 days later," the voice bot would take that as an input, schedule a call 3 days later if the payment doesn't arrive by a particular time. So those are kind of automated things which happen on our platform. Now coming into, I think, the first use case where what all things which we do from a artificial intelligence point of view, we try to understand customers to its depth. We try building a persona of the customer from a contactability point of view, because one of the most important factor in collections is to establish a contact with the borrower and also see where he is most interactive. So I think contactability is where we have kind of built as the significant portion of customer persona. And the second is understanding what demographics the borrower has, and also the geographical location, the pin codes, how the behavior of different collection activities across different products and different lenders is. So an industry insight is where we get to understand on our platform and take use of
Definitely.
that to suggest and recommend for a particular borrower, whether it's a self-cure borrower, whether no manual intervention is required and just sending a communication with a payment link would do the job, or maybe a customer where a manual intervention is required. Maybe he's a habitual, or most of the time he kind of misses out on the payments, goes up to NPA, and then kind of makes the payment back again. So I think to categorize the customer, prioritize the accounts on which calling needs to be performed at what time. This all helps you to bring your ROIs of the entire for the entire collection activities. For example, we help you reduce the bounce which happens right on the due date. We help you kind of reduce the cost of collections. We help you reduce the CAC of collections, because if you are not doing a blanket solutions for collections by sending like the same set of SMS template to all, the same set of email template to all, and doing more of a personalized connect with these borrowers with the right set of templates and right set of channels, you tend to kind of get collections much more quicker and faster, hence saving the cost and the time of collections.
No, definitely. I think this is much needed as well. And I personally would actually prefer to get called by an AI bot rather than a human, given from one unfortunate experiences that I had. So, I mean, it was probably a small postpaid line that I had. I wouldn't want to name the company. It was probably 100 rupees that was outstanding for a couple of days. And I kind of missed out because my phone was in repairs and I did not get any messages or calls. So the day I received my repaired phone and I kind of picked that up. I got a very harsh call from the agent saying, "Kab pay karoge? Ye ho gaya, wo ho gaya, blah blah blah." I mean that's not. I mean, basically, I closed my postpaid line with that company. It was a BNPL product that I essentially closed with that company, saying, "Yaar, inke saath, it doesn't really make sense doing any kind of what is it, business with these guys." So.
Right.
End customer experiences is often kind of become sour with these kind of agent calls, and I've seen that happening to a lot of other people as well, wherein maybe because of some or the other reason एक आध बार शायद miss हो गया होगा. I mean, and ultimately that sours the experience of that brand. And यहाँ पे these agents are outsourced. These are not even representing the company's brands as such.
Yeah, and hence the regulator getting involved into kind of this space. You would see more and more of regulator kind of intervention collections, especially as the digital lending grows. Especially because you have to be customer centric as well. You can't kind of play around with customer experiences.
True.
That's what's to be kept in check. There are certain norms which majority of the agencies don't even know. You can't call a borrower like before 10 a.m. or after 7 a.m. You can call for so many number of times a particular borrower. The Western markets would have much more advanced policies around collections. I think we expect that to happen in our country as well in the years to come. That's the natural trend which you would see even in our country, and we are all prepared for it. We have all the functionalities and all of those policy control right on day one for you to have your customer have the best experience, even if it's a collection fraud.
Perfect. Having said that, right? What is the one feature or upcoming feature of your product that you are excited about? Like you're personally excited about that?
So I think there is one problem statement which we understood from majority of the two-wheeler and especially vehicle loans is that there is a common set of people who go on ground to collect as well as to onboard their customers. There is no two different teams, and you could call about like there is like a team which is doing just collections on ground, and then there is a separate team doing maybe an onboarding of customer, KYC, collecting documents. That's not the case, and that is what we have learned from majority of the vehicle loan customers, especially. And we thought of having like a common application because again, the lenders do not want to have multiple applications in the phones of these agents. That if for onboarding you need to use this application, and for maybe collections you need to use this application. Rather, because the customer, as soon as he's getting onboarded for kind of lending and the loan is specialized first, the flow starts right from there from a collection standpoint. That first EMI is due and then the collection needs to happen. So we are kind of moving up the ladder in terms of even the EMI collections. Can we help you do NACH? Can we help you do deduct on time from the customer's accounts and all? So I think that's kind of an integrated mobile application which we are building for allowing these agents to collect as well as to onboard the customers from one single application, navigate to borrowers' houses, even have like a whole OTP verification done that you are the right agent who is coming to collect some document, or even BMI which is due for payment. So all sorts of that is getting embedded within the Feet on Street application.
Interesting.
That's something which is up there.
I think that's brilliant. These kind of, I'm not sure if anyone else is kind of getting into this much details for the Feet on Street application side, but it's good to know that at least someone is. Having said that, right, one interesting question that I had is when essentially you basically are integrated with the industry since last 4 years, right? And once these lenders have integrated your solution as such, what are the unique customer anecdotes or any unique customer metrics that you have seen? When I'm talking about customer metrics, I'm talking about the end customers or borrowers in this case.
In the borrowers?
Yeah, in the
lenders?
borrowers. Like any
Borrowers,
unique behavioral shifts or any unique stories that you might have.
I think it's borrowers because we don't directly ourselves gets to interact with the borrowers. It's the lender who interacts with the borrowers through communications and all. So obviously the feedback of the borrower, you can't get that directly on our platform. But obviously you can understand by some proxy or derived metrics how is the kind of interactions with the borrower going on. So obviously we have seen in both kinds of setup, which is pre-credgenics, post-credgenics, that escalations reduce. What used to happen before, for example, wrong template got sent to many of these customers. Something which wasn't intended to be sent to a borrower. Let's assume you were to kind of make a payment of your EMI due for maybe 10 days before, and you made the payment today. And there was some collection activity scheduled for you today, but because the systems are not well integrated in a pre-credgenics kind of a setup or traditional collection setup, you might have made the payment, but that to update get updated in the system and reflect on the collection system would take maybe a day, and you would still end up receiving a message on your mobile that hey, your amount of this much is due, which you have already paid like an hour ago. So I think that is one of the poorest experience which majority of the people were getting to see. While we getting the whole integrations done in real time and all of these updates in real time, as soon as the payment is done, you can't even call, you can't even communicate. No numbers, emails are kind of accessible to you. That's the level of closure which happens to an account, and no agents will be able to access that data. So that's one of the experiences from an escalation point of view. We are seeing that the number of escalations suddenly starts to kind of reduce because we have a lot more control over the collections activities and things which you are doing with the agencies and through the agencies and maybe.
No, that is interesting, and I think as a side effect of these post-payment collection calls or collection messages, there was a new line added to the messages saying, please ignore if you've already paid. I mean, that just confuses a person even more if you have two accounts with the same lender.
Right. No, I guess we in fact, when we were onboarding lenders, we received a lot of templates to be onboard, uploaded on our platform, and we could see most of the templates. It was written, please ignore if you have already made the payment. And that's like a feeling sorry for something which you are making a mistake, and it's okay that you're making the mistake, but I'm just sorry about it.
And that reflects poorly on the brand as well. I mean, if I'm getting that message, I'm like, why don't you just reconcile? I mean, in today's day and age, this should not be happening.
Exactly.
Great. Having said that, right, one final question for this segment before we move on to the rapid fire round. What or how essentially do you see this industry, the collection tech, in I would say collaboration with the digital lending industry, evolve over the next 5 years, given the fact that we are where we are with respect to the AI as well as basically blockchain and a few other technologies. So I mean, from a blockchain's perspective, earlier it was very stigmatized in the Indian market, and now we have successfully, or at least I would like to think we have successfully destigmatized it by decoupling it from the crypto and NFT markets. How do you think these technologies will essentially impact the evolution of your specific business over the next 5 years?
It's a far-fetched question, I would say, because
we'll have to speculate.
Yeah, obviously, but a lot used to get changed in a decade before, but I think it has come down to 5 years now. As lives are changing very fast, 5 years a lot of things get changed. So you never know what would be the kind of picture, but I can definitely tell you for collections, the way collections used to happen before, no longer that's the way. Majority of that would get digitized. Collections which is happening on ground, where people are visiting people's houses or borrowers' houses collecting cash, it would no longer be there in the future, the next couple of years, in fact. Because as we are kind of moving towards more and more UPI being the main way of kind of sending and receiving money, being kind of using digital money, digital modes of transfer of these money, and there's also things like digital currency and all coming out, smoothen up the whole digital transactions. I think it would be much more smoother, much more better in terms of collections. Customer experiences would be the forefront of the view which these lending companies would take, and the regulators would be kind of the ones to push that in that right direction. Definitely, in terms of artificial intelligence or data science, I think those are kind of the technologies or the segments which are helping us learn more and more about a customer to be able to be precise at what would be the right approach to do collections. And we have been significantly using and investing on that technology. And I think we have built products, we have shipped products, people have been using that. I think it has shown great results, and we'll keep investing in that direction for us to create a moat around what we are differentiated by in the collection space from the rest of the players. Would be the data and the learnings from the data using these technologies. Maybe I think that's pretty much the side I would get to see maybe future of this.
Awesome, looking forward, and I'm glad that more and more founders are now bullish on AI as well. And I've also seen a few of them being bullish on blockchain, and that also kind of warms my heart because blockchain is also very close to. I've worked a couple of projects on it earlier as well, and seeing it stigmatized in the Indian market was really kind of disheartening, to say the least. But no, I'm glad it's on track, and I'm glad a lot of you founders are also super bullish on it. So yeah, looking forward to great things from you guys in this field. And yeah, having said that, let's move on to the final and probably the most favorite segment of mine, called the rapid fire round. 5 questions, you get 0 seconds to think. जो दिमाग में आया बोलने का, simple, right?
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Having said that, let's go forward. First question: what is your favorite book?
Dream with Your Eyes Open. I think that's one of the books I had read, and
Okay.
really loved reading that book because it teaches a lot about how you should see your lives, how differently it could be than maybe the one which you had.
Awesome. I think I'll note this down. Who's the author for this?
Ronnie Screwvala.
All right.
Ronnie Screwvala.
Okay. Got it. Ronnie Screwvala. All right. Apple or Android?
Apple. Yeah. No, I was an Android guy. I switched it like last year.
Okay.
Then I'm Apple. And since MacBook has been always there since college, but never a phone. But since I've moved to Apple, I think it's a whole new kind of way of how you use your phone. And
Any thoughts to go back, or any second thoughts after moving to iOS last year?
No thoughts to go back at all. I think the storage is something which should be worrisome, but apart from that, all is good.
True.
Yeah.
Good to hear. Been an Apple fanboy for last 10 years now, so it's good to see people switching.
What's your good happen with stores opening in
Sorry,
India?
please go.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think with these
More and more people are going to
use. Yes. People are going to switch now.
No, definitely. And I'm excited about that. I mean, more people will actually get to experience it, and I think it's okay. I don't want to come off as an Apple fan on this podcast. Probably out of big sponsorship from them, but yeah. Having said that, moving on to the next question. What's your guilty pleasure?
It's a tough one. I think going out on evenings with teams more often, I think it's not guilty, but I think it's also connecting at the same time, building bonds and relationships within the organization, taking teams and
got it. Come on, there is no guilty in that. You thoda sa masala hona chahiye.
I don't think there is anything.
Okay, playing safe. Okay. How do you measure the success of your startup?
So I think by two things. One is obviously the business and the revenue aspect of it, and especially that would come with expansion as more and more revenue show we would be the right metric to look at. At the same time, the bottom line has to be kind of kept in check. The second is people, the most important, because if you are kind of looking at people as just people and not part of the organization having the same vision and the way you look at the organization, you won't be able to reach the first metric at all where you want it. So obviously you have to kind of look at people as your own set of family and team, where you are together working hard to achieve a common goal.
Sorry. Yeah, got it. No, great. I think I resonate with that as well. That connect and that feeling of togetherness has to be there especially in a startup, for everyone to be aligned, and that makes sense, right? Having said that, one final question, right? How do you disconnect from your work once you go home, or do you even disconnect at all?
No, I think for the first 4 years, for the first 3.5 or 3 years, we couldn't, because I and Rishabh used to live together. So even at office, after office, we have talked majority of the time about work. But I think now, given that there is already a leadership team and there is some time which we get after work, it's with the family. We often there's a park in front of our house. We often go to that park, talk a lot of things, go out with friends. I think that wasn't the norm a year back, but yeah, I think that's pretty much the way we spend our time after office.
That's good to know. I mean, finally you're getting that time to think about something else than work, right? I mean, I've heard of a lot of founders who don't switch off completely, and then there have been a few people, I would call them anomalies. Basically, as soon as they go home, kaam khatam. And as a founder, I just find it very difficult essentially the founders as a segment to cut it off. यार दिमाग में वही तो चलता है, उसके अलावा चलता क्या 24/7?
Exactly. You can't cut it off, shares completely, because even after I come back, I know there would be like 50 plus messages on WhatsApp to respond to. There would be emails which are still pending from the daytime, because while you were in office, you were in different kind of conversations where you didn't end up kind of having time to look at your emails and WhatsApp, and then at the night you are ending up responding to all of them, and then so you can't cut off at all. Obviously you can find time in between, have some peace in your mind and spend some time with your family. At the same time, you're kind of getting to know what's going around your organization.
I get it, right? I get it. But I've seen a few founders who say कि घर जाने के बाद I don't open my phone. मेरा phone, office phone is different, and my office laptop is different. I don't touch it till I go to the office next day. And I'm like, you are probably an anomaly as such. I mean, I've hardly seen people who've been able to manage it that way.
Right. That's impossible, I would say. Not.
We should probably take classes from these guys. एक master class रखते हैं इसके लिए. Having said that, I think that's our time. Wow, that's a lot of time. It's 30 minutes here and almost 20 minutes in that conversation. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure having you, Anand, and a lot to learn from you. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Well, thanks, Shresh. It was good.